In this video, I'm going to discuss room blocks and the behind the scenes of how the hotel industry really works. Not that they're there to take your money, they're there to protect your guest and to make sure that they have a room. So a couple of things that come up just in general. First off is when you are calling around asking for a hotel room block and what is the rate and what deals can you get. Most hotels will start with a courtesy block, which is starting with at least 10 rooms. And I would recommend not doing a room block unless you feel that you can actually fill those 10 rooms or close to it. So with the courtesy block, they're dropped 30 days before your event. So just as your RSVPs, if they're due 30 days before, your hotel is going to drop that room block and all of the rooms that are not taken by your guest. Sometimes they'll extend it, but you really try to need to abide by those rules. And also, the other big thing is attrition. And there are some very large, busy hotels that will not do courtesy blocks. And they do anywhere from 80 to 90% occupancy, and whatever rooms are not occupied by your guest, you will be charged and you will have to pay attrition. So be sure that before you're signing a contract that you do understand what you're getting yourself into. I'll have brides that say, I have 100 people coming from out of town, I want 50 rooms. Well, that's a little bit aggressive unless you know for sure that you're going to book those rooms, because I would hate for you to have to pay for those rooms and not use them. So a lot of times what we'll do is once those 10 fill up, we'll add more in 5 or 10 increments. But then you run the risk of the hotel being full, and being in a busy city, in a big city, that does often happen. So if your guests wait till the last minute to book a room, they might have to stay a little bit outside the city, which the price usually is a little bit cheaper, but they don't really get that experience of staying downtown in the city. So be sure that your guests book ahead of time. Also, something else to think about is getting several different hotels at different rates. So for example, we usually do 3 levels where it is, for example, $299 a night, $189 a night, $99 a night. So you're covering all spectrums, offering different rates for your guest. And sometimes I get the question from guests that I went on Travelocity or Priceline and it's cheaper than the room block, so I want to book it on that website. Well, it's totally fine for them to do that. Just understand that they will not be listed on your room block, so that's something that you will need to note in that spreadsheet. But more importantly, understanding that the room block doesn't necessarily mean a cheaper rate than those websites that do offer discounts, because there's only so many rooms that are sold to those discount websites. But it is simply ensuring a room for your guest. So again, it doesn't always mean a better rate, it's just ensuring space for your guest within your block so that they do have a place to stay. So think about getting a couple different hotels. That way you could do courtesy blocks, for example, at 3 to 4 hotels if you have 50 people coming from out of town. And that way you're not locking yourself into having to pay attrition. But again, I don't advise brides to just think they're going to use the hotel rooms and hold them out of inventory and then no one ever books. Hotels really don't like that, especially in a big city when they oversell a lot. But something else to ask the hotel manager, if you don't have a wedding planner, is ask them how many guests they have to walk when they are full. So what that means is if the hotel is overbooked or oversold, as guests check in really late sometimes, they will walk them to a sister property or a hotel. So if you're having your wedding at a hotel, be sure to ask in your contract to write into your contract a no walk policy for your guest, because that can be very frustrating if you're having your event at the actual hotel and then some of your guests are walked. So if it's not that there are going to be no-shows, I mean, sometimes there are no-shows, but typically wedding guests or a guest coming to a conference that they've paid for, they're going to be there. They might just be stuck in traffic or their plane could have been delayed. So I really try to get all of my guests to where in their contract they're not walked. And again, if they are, it's not the end of the world. At least they have a warm place to stay or a cool place to stay. But again, trying to make sure that doesn't happen is really going to help your guest experience. So hopefully that this this tidbit will help when you are educating yourself in choosing which hotels to have room blocks in. Good luck.